The sun scorched the busy Lagos market. Vendors shouted prices. Children ran barefoot, and the air smelled of roasted corn mixed with sweat. In the corner sat a young woman named Amara, her clothes torn, her face smeared with dust. She stretched out her hand, begging for coins. "Please, anything, even bread," she whispered. But people walked past, some hissing, others laughing. A group of teenagers spotted her and pointed. "Look at her. She thinks she's still a queen. Now she's nothing but a beggar." Their laughter cut deep. Amara's chest tightened. Once, she had books in her hands and dreams in her heart. Now, her classroom was the street, her bed the cold floor beneath the bridge. But that day felt different. As she looked around, something stirred inside her. Maybe it was hope, maybe just hunger, but she whispered to herself, "Life cannot end like this. God, send me a sign." She didn't know the sign was already walking towards her, dressed in fine clothes, eyes searching, carrying a past that would soon collide with hers. The market noise grew louder, but suddenly a sleek black SUV slowed to a halt near where Amara sat. Heads turned. Children stopped playing. Traders lowered their voices. From the car stepped a tall man in his late 30s, Chaik, dressed in a crisp white shirt and dark trousers. His wristwatch glimmered in the sunlight. Amara's heart sank. Rich people never looked at her. If they did, it was only to spit insults. She quickly hid her face, expecting him to walk past. But he didn't. Instead, he stood right in front of her, his shadow covering her weary body. The crowd began to murmur. Maybe he will give her some money, maybe food. Children whispered, women stared, men shook their heads. Chaik's eyes locked on Amara's, and his voice broke the silence. "Stand up, my wife." The air froze. A tomato seller dropped her basket. A boy's jaw hung open. Amara's heart skipped. Wife? Did she hear correctly? Her lips trembled, her hands shaking. The market turned into a theater of shock. But no one was more stunned than Amara herself. Amara's lips parted, but no words came out. Her eyes darted around, searching the crowd for answers she couldn't find. "W wife?" she stammered, voice trembling. Chaik's face remained unreadable, his gaze firm. The market women began whispering, "Maybe it's pity, maybe madness." Children giggled, not understanding. Memories flooded Amara's mind. Years ago, she had stood proudly in front of her university gate, mocking a young man who had approached her for food. He was thin, broke, and desperate. She remembered her own words, sharp as a knife. "Look at you, useless, begging like a fool. Go and work, idiot." She laughed then, walking away with friends. The image returned like a wound tearing open. Now, as she stared at Chaik, her stomach knotted. Could it be him? That same young man she had mocked so cruelly? No, this one was wealthy, confident, powerful. Yet his eyes carried a shadow, a scar from the past. The silence between them thickened. Amara wanted to vanish. But Chaik leaned closer, his voice low, carrying both warmth and mystery. "Yes, Amara, you heard me right." The market exploded with noise. Women shouted, men shook their heads, and children pointed at Amara like she was part of a strange play. "Wife, this beggar," one man barked. A fish seller laughed so hard her basket toppled over. Another woman spat on the ground. "Rich people and their madness. How can he call dirt a wife?" Amara's heart pounded. She wanted to melt into the earth. Shame clung to her skin like sweat. Why would he choose me? After everything, after what I did to him? Her knees trembled, and she tried to crawl away, but Chaik's firm voice stopped her. "Amara, stand." The tone wasn't harsh. It was commanding, yet gentle, the kind that carried authority no one could ignore. The crowd leaned in, hungry for drama. Some whispered that maybe it was a social experiment. Others claimed it was witchcraft. But one old woman, her face wrinkled with wisdom, shook her head slowly and muttered, "Life is a circle. Be careful who you mock, because tomorrow tables may turn." Amara froze. Her past and present had collided, and now everyone was watching. Amara shook her head violently, tears welling in her eyes. No, please. Not me." She tried to crawl backward, her arms weak, her pride shattered. The crowd laughed harder. "See her! She doesn't even want him," one woman shouted. But Chike didn't move. His hand stretched out toward her, steady and unshaken. "Stand up, Amara," he said again, voice calm but unyielding. She stared at his hand as though it were fire. Memories burned. The day she mocked him, the cruel words she spoke. "Why me? Why now?" she thought. "Choose someone else." "I don't deserve this," she whispered, her body trembling. But Chike didn't withdraw. Instead, he bent slightly, lowering his voice so only she could hear. "You don't understand yet. This isn't pity. This is destiny." The words pierced her heart. The market roared louder, pushing for a spectacle, but Amara was drowning in her own storm. Slowly, her hand twitched, inching toward his. For the first time, fear and hope wrestled inside her. Would she take it or run? Just as Amara's trembling fingers hovered near Chike's hand, a loud voice split through the noise. "Stop this madness." A tall man in a dusty bata pushed through the crowd. His name was Okoro, a well-known trader in the market, respected for his wealth and sharp tongue. He glared at Chike, then spat on the ground. "How can you, a man of status, disgrace yourself by calling a street rat your wife?" The crowd cheered him on, emboldened by his words. "Tell him, Chief Okoro." "Yes, this is an insult to marriage." Amara's chest tightened. Her shame deepened, and for a moment, she wished the ground would open and swallow her whole. She curled her arms around herself, trying to hide from the pointing fingers and cruel laughter. But Chike didn't flinch. His eyes locked on Okoro's with a calmness that silenced half the crowd. "Chief, you see a beggar. I see something else." His voice carried a quiet authority that unsettled even his enemies. Amara's head lifted slowly. For the first time, she wondered, why? Why me, after all I did? The mystery thickened. The market square became a conference hall, with Chike at the center like a speaker on stage. Everyone's eyes were on him. Chief Okoro folded his arms, daring him to explain. "Tell us, rich man," he mocked, "what makes this beggar worthy of your name?" The murmurs grew. Some expected Chike to back down. But Chike lifted his chin, his voice strong and steady. "You laugh at her now, but once I was the one sitting on this very ground. Hungry, hopeless. You all mock me too. Life is not always as it appears. If I rise, I forget where I came from, then I am no man." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Amara froze. His words felt like arrows piercing her soul. Could it be true? Was he really that same boy? Okoro sneered, shaking his head. "So this is revenge dressed as mercy? Foolishness." But an old woman stepped forward, her cracked voice cutting through. "Young man speaks truth. The stone you reject today may be the pillar tomorrow." The crowd fell into uneasy silence. Amara's heart thudded louder. The conference of voices had begun, but the verdict was still unknown. As the murmurs died down, Amara's eyes brimmed with tears. She wanted to speak, but her throat felt locked. Inside her mind, the memories screamed. Once she had a family. Once she had a future. Her father's laughter, her mother's cooking, her younger brother's playful mischief. All stolen in a single night by a fire that consumed their small home. Left alone, she tried to cling to school. But poverty is a ruthless enemy. No fees, no uniform, no books. Soon, she was mocked for wearing torn clothes in class. Eventually, she dropped out. Dreams turned to ashes. Hunger pushed her to the streets, where insults replaced kindness, and survival became her only prayer. The crowd couldn't hear her thoughts, but they saw her tears. Some looked away in discomfort. Others scoffed, calling them crocodile tears. But Chike's gaze never shifted. His eyes softened, as if he already knew the story she was too ashamed to tell. For the first time, Amara wondered if destiny had circled back, not to destroy her, but to rewrite her life. Without warning, Chike bent down on one knee right there in the dust of the marketplace. The same ground where Amara had begged, the same ground where he once tasted humiliation. Gasps echoed. Women dropped baskets. Traders froze mid-sale. "What is this man doing?" Voices thundered. Chike stretched his hand toward Amara again, this time louder, firmer, yet filled with tenderness. "Amara, I am not here to pity you. I am here because I choose you. Stand and walk with me." The marketplace became so quiet that even the buzzing flies seemed to hush. Amara shook her head, overwhelmed, tears streaming freely. Her lips quivered, but no sound escaped. Chief Okoro hissed and shouted, "This is madness. No man in his right mind would marry his disgrace." But his words drowned in the awe of the moment. Some in the crowd began to murmur differently now. Maybe it's true love, maybe it's fate. Amara's chest rose and fell as she stared at the hand again. The same hand she once rejected, now offered her the chance at redemption. Amara's chest heaved as she stared at Chike's outstretched hand. The whispers around her felt like knives. Some mocked, others waited eagerly for her answer. Her fingers trembled, her mind battled. What if this is revenge? What if tomorrow he throws me away? But what if this is my only chance to live again? Slowly, shakily, Amara lifted her hand. Gasps erupted. Her fingertips brushed his. The crowd screamed, some in disbelief, some in anger, others in awe. Chike rose to his feet, still holding her fragile hand, as though protecting something precious. Amara's knees weakened, and she nearly fell, but his grip steadied her. Chief Okoro roared like thunder. "You're a fool, Chike. This woman will ruin your name." But Chike only turned his arm around Amara and said calmly, "A man's name is not ruined by whom he lifts, but by whom he abandons." The crowd fell into stunned silence. For the first time, Amara stood tall, not as a beggar, but as someone chosen. Yet deep inside, guilt whispered, "Does he truly forgive me for what I did years ago?" Chike's hand remained firm around Amara's as he led her forward. The crowd parted like a river split by a stone. Traders who mocked her moments ago now stared in disbelief. Some whispered blessings under their breath. Others spat curses. Amara felt every step like a dream or a nightmare. Chief Okoro ran ahead, blocking their path. His agbada flared as he raised his voice. "You will not disgrace us with this madness, Chike. This beggar belongs here in the gutter, not beside you." The crowd roared in agreement, but Chike's calm never wavered. He leaned close to Amara and whispered, "Keep walking. Don't look back." Chike opened the door of his sleek SUV and guided Amara inside. The crowd screamed louder, pressing forward to see if it was real. Some even pounded the car, shouting, "We will not accept this shame." But with one motion, the car engine roared to life, leaving behind a storm of voices. Amara sat trembling, staring at her reflection in the tinted window. For the first time in years, she was leaving the market. But where was he taking her? The SUV rolled through iron gates taller than any building Amara had ever entered. Beyond them stretched a mansion, so grand it seemed carved from marble and gold. Flowers lined the driveway. Fountains danced with crystal water, and uniformed guards stood at attention. Amara's mouth fell open. She had slept under bridges. Now she was staring at a palace. Chike stepped out first and extended his hand again. Amara hesitated, but followed. Her bare feet touched polished tiles, and shame burned her skin. Servants in neat uniforms froze at the sight, whispering to one another. Who is she? Why is Master bringing a beggar here? Their stares stabbed at her like daggers. Amara clutched her torn dress, wishing she could disappear. Inside, chandeliers glittered above her head. She stood in the center of the vast living room, too overwhelmed to speak. Chike's voice broke the silence. "Amara, from today, this is your home." Her heart raced. Tears threatened to spill again. But deep inside, one question burned hotter than any shame. Why me? Why after all I did to him? Amara sat nervously on a velvet chair, her torn dress looking out of place in the grand room. Chike poured himself a glass of water, his movements calm, deliberate. Then he turned, his eyes locking on hers. "Do you know me, Amara?" he asked softly. Her chest tightened. She shook her head quickly, though inside, guilt pricked her. Chike's lips curved into a faint smile, not of joy, but of memory. Years ago, I was not this man you see. I was broken, hungry, desperate. I begged for bread, for kindness, but I received only laughter. His words cut through the air like a blade. Amara's hands trembled. A flash of her younger self mocking a thin, hopeless boy slammed into her mind. Could it be? She lowered her gaze, whispering, It cannot be you. Chike stepped closer, his shadow falling over her. His voice was calm, yet heavy with meaning. Life circles, Amara. The one you called useless then is the man standing before you now. Her breath caught in her throat. The truth was no longer a whisper. It was a storm, and she was at its center. Amara's hands clutched her chest as if she could hold back the flood within. But the dam broke. Tears streamed freely, her voice cracking under the pressure of her past. It was me, she whispered. I mocked you. I laughed when you begged. I called you useless, less than a man. Her body shook as a memory spilled out. She fell from the chair to the polished floor, weeping loudly now. Why me, Chike? Why bring me here? You should hate me. You should throw me away like I did to you. The servants who watched from the corners gasped. To see a beggar weep inside a mansion was already strange, but to hear her confess to shaming their master was unimaginable. Chike knelt slowly beside her. His face carried no anger, only a calm sorrow that unsettled even more. Yes, Amara, you mocked me. You wounded me with words when all I had was hunger. But tell me, should a man repay cruelty with cruelty, or should he prove that life is greater than bitterness? Amara froze, trembling in silence. His forgiveness was heavier than her guilt. The silence in the mansion stretched until it felt unbearable. Amara sat trembling on the floor, waiting for Chike's judgment. Finally, he spoke, his voice steady. Amara, I did not choose you because I forgot the pain. I chose you because I remembered it. Her head snapped up, eyes wide. The servants leaned closer. The weight of his words hung in the air. Chike continued, his tone like a teacher before a restless class. When I begged for food and you mocked me, I promised myself, if I ever rose, I would find someone who once rejected me, not to shame them, but to prove that life can rewrite the story. You mocked me in my weakness, but I will honor you in my strength. Gasps echoed from the corners of the room. The servant's eyes darted, shocked by his declaration. Amara shook her head furiously, sobbing, No, this is too much. I don't deserve it. I deserve the street, not this palace. Chike's eyes softened. He whispered, You don't deserve the street either. That's why I brought you here. Her sobs quieted, but her heart thundered. Could forgiveness truly erase the scars of cruelty? Word spread like wildfire. By the next morning, the marketplace was buzzing louder than a festival. Did you hear? Chike took the beggar home. He called her wife. Abomination! The gossip spread beyond the stalls, into homes and offices. Some laughed, others shook their heads. Respect for Chike began to divide. Admiration on one side, scorn on the other. Chief Okoro gathered a circle of traitors beneath his canopy. His face darkened with fury. This is an insult to all of us. A man of wealth marrying disgrace? Tomorrow, will he say beggars belong on our thrones too? The men nodded, pounding the table. We must stop him. If he won't listen, we'll make sure society rejects this madness. Back in the mansion, Amara overheard whispers among the servants. They will laugh at him. They will mock his name. Shame returned to her chest, heavy as a stone. She turned to Chike with trembling lips. Your enemies will use me against you. Please, let me leave before they destroy you. But Chike only smiled faintly and replied, Let them laugh. Laughter never killed a man. But hate can. The pressure mounted. Newspapers ran the story, social media buzz, and society split into two camps. Those who praised Chike's boldness and those who cursed his foolishness. Meanwhile, Amara spent sleepless nights, guilt crushing her heart. She knelt before him one evening and whispered, Please, let me go. I can't carry this shame. I'm not worthy of your name. Chike raised her chin gently, his voice steady as stone. Amara, you see shame. I see testimony. I want the world to know. The beggar you mock can rise, and the beggar you laugh at today can become the jewel tomorrow. If I reject you, I become no different from those who once rejected me. His words hit her like thunder. For the first time, she believed forgiveness was real. Weeks later, they walked hand in hand through the same marketplace. The same people who once mocked now stared in stunned silence. Some bowed their heads in respect. Others gossiped quietly, but no one laughed. An old woman clapped her hands and said, "Life has circled. Let all who mocked learn this truth. Never despise a fallen man, for tomorrow he may stand taller than you." And with that, the story closed, leaving the question burning in every heart. Was Chike's choice love, destiny, or the sweetest revenge turned into mercy? If this story moved you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs this message. Drop a comment telling us where you're watching from and what act of kindness inspired you today. Thanks for being part of this journey. Until next time, remember, even the smallest act of kindness can change a life.